I'd like to introduce now our next speaker, Valdis Dombrovskis, the Executive Vice President of the European Commission. Welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, thank you for the invitation to speak at this The Economist event. This pandemic has put an enormous strain on every EU country. Governments are just now easing their lockdowns, but it will be a delicate balancing act to restart national economy while keeping people safe. To take the title of this event, there is unfortunately no single vaccine to offset the economic devastation, but the EU is doing all it can to help. We are now laying the groundwork for every single of our member states to recover from the crisis. Besides the European Central Bank's action, including the Pandemic Emergency Purchase Programme, the EU and its member states have mobilized around 3.4 trillion euros in a wide mix of measures to help our health systems, companies and workers to get through this difficult time. This is almost 25% of EU's GDP and unprecedented response to the crisis. What we now need is a collective recovery, a fair, even and inclusive as possible, for everyone in the European Union, wherever they are. This is the objective of the recovery plan that the European Commission presented last week to build a more sustainable, resilient and fairer Europe for the next generation. It is based on a reinforced EU budget for the next 7 years, with a temporary recovery instrument called Next Generation EU to support those parts of the economy that need it most. As Heraclitus said, big results require big ambitions, and we have thought big. The Next Generation EU will be equipped with 750 billion euros in firepower. Under this proposal, Italy, followed by Spain, Poland and Greece, will be the top 4 beneficiaries of this support. Greece could potentially receive 22.6 billion euros in grants and 9.4 billion euros in loans. Most of the money will be spent on the Recovery and Resilience Facility. It will include grants and loans to support investments and reforms in line with priorities identified in the European semester and our goals of green and digital transitions. It will give real support to countries such as Greece to modernize its economy, raise productivity, and carry out vital reforms like improving the business environment and strengthening the financial system. Our recovery plan will also support investments in the future. For example, in a previous trip to Greece, I saw a flourishing startup community, tech companies offering solutions for SMEs, for tourism, for other sectors. Greece is also home to world-class research and innovation. However, to make sure that talent stays in a country and Greek researchers are not tempted to take their skills somewhere else, you need investment. And that's where our recovery plan could really help. For Greece, it means also extra support for its post-program commitments. Next Generation EU, when combined with the next EU multi-annual budget, will increase the total financial firepower to 1.85 trillion euros. At such time of extraordinary hardship and uncertainty, the EU needs to show that it's ready and willing to act decisively. At the same time, we must acknowledge that the severity of economic impact varies. Some EU countries may find it harder to recover than others and take longer to do so. And this is not necessarily linked to the numbers of infections. It also relates to the resilience and structure of each country's economy and capacity to respond to the shock. Take Greece, where government reacted quickly to the outbreak. It quickly put measures in place to contain the virus. It also acted to support households and businesses to inject liquidity in the economy. However, Greek economy is particularly exposed because large share of its economy is tied to travel and tourism. The same is true for countries like Spain, Italy, or Croatia. We will increase cohesion funding to provide immediate relief and help these and other sectors. For example, React EU will extend our crisis measures into 2022. It will offer additional funds worth a total of 55 billion euros for current structural funds programs, including unprecedented flexibility in the use of EU funds, as well as 100% financing from the EU budget. The EU is doing as much as it can to maintain a credit and cash flow to the struggling companies, especially smaller ones, which are suffering from acute reduction in economic activity. And we encourage all EU countries to use the flexibility the EU funds now provide to keep companies afloat and people in jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, as we emerge from this extraordinary crisis, our proposed recovery plan is Europe's best chance to success. It sets out our path to invest in fairer, greener, and digital future and find new ways to create growth and prosperity. We need to reach agreement on this as quickly as possible. In economic terms, this would be the best coronavirus vaccine. And I'm confident that Greece and Europe will navigate this storm and come out of this stronger together. Thank you.